You're listening to Beauty, Strength, and Dominance, the official podcast of Lingerie Fighting Championships. And now, here's your host, Michael Larkin.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of Beauty, Strength, and Dominance, the official LFC Lingerie Fighting Championships podcast. My name is Mike Larkin, and joining me tonight, she is content creator and LFC prospect, the one, the only Miss Tallula Rose. How are you, Tallula?
Hello, I'm great. How are you?
Good. First and foremost, it is a pleasure to have you on the show. For those who have not checked out Tallula, with everything that she does with all things worn and what she's been doing on the content side of things, I got to say, Tallula, you're really doing your thing. I can't wait to see what else comes from you, man. I've enjoyed it, and welcome to being an LFC prospect.
Thank you. I'm very excited.
Now, let's start this first and foremost. When you look at the side of content creation, much like an art form, like anything in life, and plus at the same time, too, it delivers a lot of great fans, or as you like to call them, your little piggies, if you will. So I got to ask you first and foremost, Miss Tallula Rose, what kind of gravitated you towards really more of the content creation side of things, more like the fetishes, the preferences? Everybody has their own liking. What kind of gravitated you towards it?
So I was kind of just Google searching one day, and I had noticed on my TikTok this guy had been begging me to send me money, and I was like, dude, that's so, like, at first I was like, I don't know, that's weird. Like, I kept ignoring him, and he's like, please let me send you money, and I was like, okay. So I got to know it a little bit, and I did my research on it, and I found All Things Worn, and my first 2 weeks on All Things Worn, I made it to top 1% of all sellers on there. But it's definitely a research thing because I never yuck anybody's yum, and I'm all for any kind of fetishes. I just don't do age play or race play or self-harm or anything that will physically hurt you. So I have done a lot of stuff on All Things Worn, stuff that you wouldn't imagine. But I like it. It's really fun. It's like an adrenaline rush for me. I don't know.
First of all, I got to put over the fact that you never yuck someone else's yum. I love the phrase because you've made it a lot on your social media front. I've always looked at it like this. I mean, if you look at your surroundings, like in popular culture, I remember the days back in MTV, like they did one episode, like one on like dominatrix stuff. They did one on this. They would have so many different topics that they would tackle. And I've always said this, much like you mentioned, as long as you're not hurting yourself or something that promotes something that does like violence, I completely agree with you. I think in today's day and age, and I think you can concur with me on this, Tallula, everybody, it's become so normalized. Everybody is just letting their quote unquote freak flag fly, and it's wonderful because it's really a great art form of expression. You're really expressing yourself while also applying your craft. So everything kind of goes and balances itself together.
I agree with that 100%. And I also feel like some people don't know what they're getting into when they get into ATW, and they think it's just easy, and you could really hurt somebody. Like, you could really hurt somebody if you don't know what you're doing or you don't do your research, and I am not for hurting yourself or others, or animals either. No,
This
no harm.
This is very true. I include that in my sentiments as well. I echo that. And I mean, I look at things like All Things Worn. People really do like, and I've always said this, we touch upon this. People like things that people have worn, like you mentioned, as aforementioned, All Things Worn. It could be something that you use, whether it be panties, this or that. There's something that people do like. And I think what's great about it too, as well, once you do your research, because that is actually something that you said that's very imperative. When you do your research into something, and I've always said this, you have to treat everything like a business because yes, it's fun. Yes, it's entertainment, but this is also your business. This is how you make money. This is how you can accumulate a lot. And in a world of content creation, there's so many ways to really emphasize and really face it and look at it as like a business because everything has to sell is a brand. You're branding, you're connecting. Everything in itself really is a business to put it in the forefront.
I agree with that 100%.
And I think for you, and I got to say this first and foremost, besides everything that we see with All Things Worn, I have to ask you about the OnlyFans here, because Backwoods Barbie is probably one of the best doggone names when it comes to OnlyFans as well. I am a big proponent when it comes to OnlyFans, like we mentioned, the normalization and stuff like that. If
Yes.
there's another thing that I love, and I got to ask you this because it's a word that starts with a C, community. How awesome is the community when it comes to OnlyFans?
So I don't post on there a lot actually because it's really hard, in my opinion, it's really hard for me to get I focus on all things worn. I do post on OnlyFans, and actually the last month or two, I have been getting a lot of fans on there that are buying my content. So I think I'm going to start focusing on OnlyFans as well. But I don't really have much of a community over there, in all honesty. I have 300 fans, but it seems to me like a lot of them are just promos. A lot of like promo people have been following me and wanting to promote my OnlyFans.
Well, I will say this from what I have seen as well, and I urge everybody to go follow as well as All Things Warren. I'm a fan. I do like it because I look at it like this. You look at the imagery side of things, and we really talk about what I like to call the RDSA, the real deal sex appeal, right? So you accumulate and you exude and accentuate internal and external beauty. And when you think of OnlyFans in today's day and age, there's a lot of things to apply within menus and everything from the business
Oh, yes.
standpoint and the accumulation. It works. So, I mean, I cannot wait to see what you do on that front going forward.
Yes, I am excited. I have some big things coming up for that here soon, actually. I'm excited for OnlyFans.
And I will say this, when you look at today's day and age, folks, and we talk about everything from content creation and we talk about OnlyFans, we talk about all things worn, a lot of great places to see this amazing woman by the name of Tallula Rose. Another great place is you can check her now with LFC on the prospect side of things, lfcfights.com. And we're actually going to pull that up right here, right now, for those who have not seen her page on the LFC website. Look at his face right here, Tallula Rose, lfcfights.com as a pro prospect. If you've not checked out the bio, it says, and I quote, "I'm a very easygoing country girl with a little bit of city gal. I love having fun and trying new things. I have a big personality that will leave you laughing. I have quite a few ditzy blonde moments every day. People say it never gets old. I'm an open book, and my motto is never yuck, someone else is yum, and I stand by that." Number one, love the bio, and number two, it's great to see you as a part of the page.
Yes, I am excited. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Now, I got to ask you first and foremost, and you've seen a lot of the content that I've sent, you've seen the content as a whole. How awesome is it to see not only beautiful women empowering themselves, showcasing themselves, but also at the same time, badassery at the same time, fighting mixed with beauty? It works.
It works. I love it. I love watching all of them. It takes me a while to get through them, but I love them, and each of them are unique, and I love them all.
I look at it from a stance too, like this. I really am partial with this because I love the fact that we get to see not only beautiful women kicking ass and taking names, but in lingerie. I've always equated to the LFL. Like back in the day, we had the LFL, the Lingerie Football League, badass women in lingerie kicking ass and taking names on the gridiron. So I think if there's another place not only to exude and accentuate the beauty side and the sexiness works, but when you're applying your craft and you're learning the combat side of things like MMA and wrestling, it brings everybody together from all different aspects, from the sports side, from people that like the overall lingerie side of things. There's so many aesthetics that go into everything, you know?
There is. Yes, I agree.
Now, I have to ask you because we talk about aesthetics here, and you, my dear friend, being the beautiful human being that you are, I have to ask you because this show, besides the fact of the action, we mentioned the aesthetics, the lingerie, the L of LFC Lingerie Fighting Championships. I got to ask you, being the style and finesse that you have, Miss Tallula Rose, what is some of your favorite lingerie that really be wearing? Just the style and finesse. What's some of your favorite lingerie?
So I get most of my lingerie from Amazon, I'm not gonna lie, but I do have the red one that's on there. On my pictures, that's my favorite lingerie. That is from a local sex shop here in Michigan. I don't know what brand it is, but I love it. It's my favorite. I have a black one and a purple one just like it.
I like your style, red, black, and purple. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I look at it like this. I think not only is it just about looking good, but if you're comfortable, that's the main thing. And I got to say, from looking at the photos that you have sent, absolutely fantastic. And I think a lot of the LFC fans will enjoy it in their own right.
Yes, I like how you can move in it. It's really flexible, and that's my main focus. As long as it's comfortable, I'm okay with it.
Absolutely. So I have to ask on the other side of things, because we mentioned the action front. How awesome is it going to be to even not only just to train, but also just in your own right, really getting to explore the combats, MMA, and wrestling, and really get to learn on that front? Because I got to say, there's a lot that goes into that as well.
Oh, I am excited. I grew up half and half in Chicago, and living in Chicago, I had to defend myself a lot. So my parents put me in boxing, and I have 7 brothers. I don't have any sisters, so I'm the only girl. So I have always had to fight, and I love it. I love it. I was in boxing for 15, 16, 5 years. 5 years. I loved it a lot. I miss it. Now that I moved up north, there's not much to do out here. So it'll definitely be fun.
Well, I will say this from the boxing side of things. When you look at beautiful women like the great Layla Ali, and even look at MMA with the Ronda Rouseys and the Holly Holmes and the Amanda Nunez's, like you mentioned, first of all, shout out to Chicago. From coming from Chicago, from being where you are, having brothers and where you live now, I think it is definitely a culture shock, but also at the same time, too, you take a lot of what you learned and then you apply it. I think that's wonderful. I really cannot wait to see what you do.
Yes, for sure. I'm very excited.
Now, for you, Miss Tallula Rose, I will say this. We mentioned the social media front, and that's very apparent in today's day and age. But if y'all have been checking her out on the Tickety Talk over here, you on TikTok, man, very much what I like about you is your bluntness. You're very true to who you are and what you are. Talk about this, because you're very much very open-minded and you speak your mind and you put a lot of creativity in the TikTok. I got to say, I dig what I see on that front as well.
Thank you. I love TikTok.
You're very welcome, I got to say. But how important is that to you, especially in today's day and age with expression, to really express yourself on different areas and different avenues, especially with how today's climate is? I mean, you really get to really show up and show out and really speak your mind, which everybody should have that voice, you know?
Yes, I agree. So in Chicago, I never got to speak my opinion really, on anything. And I didn't really like that. So when I moved up here, I like TikTok. I can say what I want most of the time. But I also agree that everybody should have their own opinion and own freedom of speech. So like I said, I'll never yuck anybody's yum. I won't talk down on you for having your own opinion, but I want my own opinion too. So I feel like TikTok is definitely my number one app to be able to do all that. And I get a lot of hate, but you know what? Hate brings me a lot of new followers too. So, I love it.
I feel you. Absolutely. And I think, to quote, and I'll make a pop culture reference, to quote the great Nas, "You can hate me now, but I won't stop now," as the song once sang and said. I mean, I look at it like this. In today's day and age, there's people that are not going to like you, which that's everyday life. It's human nature. But also at the same time, too, I look at it like this. Also, at the same time, if they don't like you, that means you're doing something right, because you're getting a reaction out of people. So, I mean, that's
Exactly.
all. You have to evoke emotions. But in today's day and age, I've always said this, and I think you could concur, we need to be more united, not divided. There's too much of this. We need more of this.
There is very much. And it's sad. If we all came together, it'd be a much easier world, I think.
No, I'm right there with you. And I think in today's day and age, people say what they want about social media, and we touched upon the freedom of expression, but I also put it together like this. Like we mentioned earlier at the top of the show, as long as you're not hurting anyone, hurting animals, or hurting anybody, I'm cool with you. But also at the same time, too, we got to stop this, because there's a lot of foolishness going on in this world.
There is a lot.
And I want to say something that's not foolish is the fact that we really get to see a lot of the art forms, and we talk about different preferences and everything that differentiates. For you, I'm going to ask you, how important not only is this for you for LFC as just an overall athlete, but for you as a person, because you as yourself, your mind, body, your soul, and your spirit, you're taking everything that you encompass on all forms and all realms, so to speak, and you're making your own, not only just empowering yourself, but empowering others. How important is that message for you, being an empowering figure in your own right?
Very important. I just want to show everybody, that be who you are in your own body and love yourself and have fun and do what your heart desires, Everybody deserves that, so.
Agreed wholeheartedly. And I got to say right now, we saw the profile, we saw everything that encompasses it. I am right here with you with everything that you mentioned on the lingerie aesthetic front. I cannot wait till that day comes when we get to see that entrance, man. I got to say, for you being the theatric side of things, when you make that entrance, there's so many things that go into an entrance, from just the pizzazz, the panache, there I say, the pizzazz, if you will. I got to say, for an entrance wise, I know it's a long way out, but what are you thinking? I mean, you can add a little sex appeal to it, a little spin, a little twirl. What are we thinking, man? Because I got to say, you have to raise the bar up a little here, Mr. Tallula Rose.
I'm not sure. I don't really know at the time. I switch up a lot, as you can tell with my hair. So I switch up my looks and I feel like every month it's something new for me. I want to do something new with myself. So I don't know.
Fair enough. I mean, I think what's great about it too is I think whatever you do, whatever the ladies do, is beautiful. And at the end of the day too, I think you know it as soon as you do it. And I think you could concur with me on this as well. When we think about life, it's really moments and memories created and moments and memories yet to be created. So if you're living in that moment and you're just really taking it all in, that's what matters the most, because that stuff lasts a lifetime, my friend.
Yes, I agree.
And I will say this, folks, if you've not checked out Tallula Rose, check her out. All Things Warren, check out the LFC profile. The link will be in the description. And for you, before we do close this out, I do have a couple final things I want to ask you. And first and foremost, you're an absolute delight. We really got to see a lot of great things in tonight's forum. Tallula, I'd love to have you back for a round two, and we'll definitely touch base on some more LFC stuff.
Yes, I'm excited. I'd love to.
It's my pleasure. And I will say this, for you, being an intelligent human being that you are, and someone, like we mentioned, very outspoken, but someone who does have a lot of pearls of wisdom, so to speak, to put out to the universe, what advice would you give to a lot of great people who want to either get into content creation or want to explore something like an LFC, a lingerie fighting championship? What advice would you give them based on what you've known and your experiences?
As for the content creation, you got to have thick skin, and you just got to tough it out sometimes, and do what your heart desires. And as far as LFC, if you think you could do it, then go for it, and just make sure you have tough skin, because it gets hard sometimes. You get criticized, but I don't let it bother me. I'll just shake it off and let it go by.
I gotta say, if this was a Jay-Z track back in 2003, this woman over here is kicking that dirt off her shoulder, and she's rocking to fall off. I will say this to Lula Rose, before I have you promote the social medias, you are someone that a lot of people are going to be looking out for, and not only, and I can't wait to see it, I know it's been very proponent that we've been seeing your excitement throughout this fine podcast and show today. You are one of the good ones, my friend. I can't wait to see what the future holds for you and where your journey takes you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Now, Tallula Rose, where can we follow you on the social medias? The floor is yours. Go right ahead.
TikTok, Maddie from TikTok, or yeah. I don't even know my TikTok handle. I don't know my TikTok handle. I'll have to get that to you. I don't know. And on OnlyFans, it's Backwoods Barbie, and All Things Warren is Tallula Rose.
The links will be in the description. I believe it's Maddie Mom on TikTok, something like that. Either way, the link it'll be in the description below.
Yeah, something like that.
No worries. Well, I got to ask you, okay, we'll ask this final thing before I do the promotions. Because first of all, I love this as well because number one, family is everything. And number two, you also get to showcase yourself being a badass mom. So how not only is that a great thing, but you get to add the family aspect to it, being a mom and being an inspiring figure in that right.
Yes, I love it. Actually, my kids love it. My kids have a good life. That's my number one priority. And I love it. I love it all. I love life.
As you should. And I mean, I think that's what's great too, because we mentioned the empowering front before. Like if you're empowering like your kids and just showcasing how the message and how everything life goes, especially with kids nowadays, and I mentioned it's probably some of the hardest times for a child to really be growing up in today's world. But with someone who has a great shelter and has someone a great home life like yourself and everybody, it really does lift a lot of people. And plus it really helps the kids going forward in the future, you know?
It does. It definitely does. And my kids are they're gonna love social media, that's for sure. They're on it all the time. They're always asking me to make TikTok. So,
and I have to ask you this just because I love the name, and we mentioned earlier, like you mentioned in your socials, can we talk about the Backwoods Barbie name? Number one, I love it just because it stands out, but also number two, Backwoods Barbie. Talk about how that came into fruition, because I gotta say I love the name. I had to ask.
Okay, so I love being in the woods. Like, I love nature and everything. And one day I was sitting there before I made my OnlyFans, and I was like, I don't know, Tallula Rose, I love that name. I absolutely love it. But I needed something more different. And I was like, you know what? Barbie's a big thing now. Barbie everything. Barbie, Barbie, Barbie. I was like, Backwood Barbie sounds like a good name. So that's how I went with Backwoods Barbie.
It works because not only if you amplify yourself and it exemplifies you, then you're golden because everybody loves authenticity. And number two, I think I really do joy just for the fact that it's a unique name. And I can honestly say in the history of LFC, and I love each and every one of the personnel and the prospects that I get to meet, I think you're probably the first Backwoods Barbie and a Tallula that we've ever had. So I think you're doing something special there.
That's
very
awesome.
I like it.
I love that. That's awesome.
I love it too. And we do appreciate each and every one of you that listen to this fine program and listen to myself speak and see our great guests like a Tallula Rose here. And I also have to put this out as a friend, man, who loves good ink and tattoos and everything. I like your style up here, man. I got to say, I dug that. No, looking at your photos and the face tattoos, I dig it. I think it looks very cool.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I love it.
Well, that's the thing. I think when it comes to tattoos, it's like once you get one, you can't stop, right?
Oh, man. No, I got my first one at 14 and I haven't stopped yet. So, I just love them. They're addicting. They're really addicting.
And I'll ask also,
the face. I get a lot of judgment for the face tattoo, but then again, I'm like, you know what? everybody has tattoos these days. Like, I'm a business owner, so it doesn't really affect my job. It doesn't affect me getting a job, but everybody judges everybody for tattoos. Like here, back in Chicago, nobody cared, but it's sad. It's a form of art, I feel like, and it's an expression.
All right, so I don't know if y'all can see this, so we're going to get on the topic of tattoos for a second because I'm glad you brought this up. But as I'm visualizing, I know it just popped in my head, so I'm going to do this. So for those that don't see this right here is probably one of my favorite pieces. This tattoo right here is a nice little symbolism to my grandfather who passed away in 2001. And then on my side here, I have something that says strength, my strength in my faith, and strength in God, and strength in love as a whole. I have one over here that says sanctified, which means blessed. So one of the things I always say about tattoos, like you mentioned, it's a form of expression. It's an art form. But people, if you're telling a story and you're painting your canvas, that's so important because everything on your body tells a story.
Yes, exactly.
But no, I mean, I hear that. I think it depends on where you go. But firstly, I have no issue with the face tattoo. As soon as I saw them, like, I dig that because it shows edge and it just shows creativity because that's really what it is at the end of the day, creativity. I want to give you some love on that front.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And I think speaking of painting canvases and painting stories, you are going to paint your own story with what we get to see on your journey, ma'am. And for those that want to check out this fine journey of podcasts and everything on the LFC side of things, go to lfcfights.com, go to the LFC Exposed and watch the reality series. From calendar photo shoots to LFC events and behind the scenes footage, you're going to love it. You can check out this fine podcast, or you can see this face. You can see the many amazing faces like this LFC prospect right here, Miss Tallula Rose, and so many people. You can check out my boy T-Bell, Tommy Bell Art, sketchy and funny. The man's got skills that kills. He puts his thing on the drawing table, and he showcases why he is one of the LFC's resident artists. And, of course, the LFCfights.com events with everything from LFC 40 and LFC 41, our latest ones, all the way back from 2015 and onward. So check out lfcfights.com and check out Miss Tallula Rose on all her socials and all things Warren and the Twitter and the Instagram and everything that we get to see, as well as TikTok. Tallula Rose, do you have any final words for the LFC faithful and the peeps?
Just be great. Be you.
I like this woman's style. Simple and to the point, but also very inspiring and very honest and blunt, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So with that being said, folks, life is an art form. We're all applying our crafts. Continue to apply your craft in amazing fashion. And can you do me a favor? Can you tell me about the yum and the yuck one more time? I love the quote. Say it to us one more time. I
never yuck someone's yum. Never yuck someone's yum. Ever.
I love that. I'm not going to lie. That puts a smile on my face every time I said it. Had to hear it. So with that being said, folks, beauty, strength, and dominance, the three key elements that make women the work of art that they are. And Miss Tallula Rose, I include you in those sentiments. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Get your country on. Yeah, get your country on. Get your country on. Yeah, get your country on. It's Friday night, got an appetite to get a little crazy, y'all. Like dynamite, I need a light. Come on down, bring some alcohol. The party's just begun. Everybody's getting drunk, everybody's getting high. Let's get